Tell me, what's your name? Where are we?
My name's Shea. We're in my tent in Beacon Hill Park in Victoria, BC.
Cool. So what are 3 things about you that someone would want to know if they were going to understand your story?
We need affordable housing. Secondly, we're pretty generally normal people, I guess. It was normal. I was artistic, and yeah, I don't know, generally nice guy, I guess.
I'm wondering, like, what's your role here in the community, both in Beacon Hill and in the wider Victoria community? Like, what do you do?
Well, it seems lately that my role has been just kind of a spokesperson for, I guess, what we call as the humans of Beacon Hill. Is just to basically representing the campers, just a voice representing the campers, and they've kind of, you know, put me in that position just to kind of be this, I guess, a spokesperson for you know, what our feelings are. I start feeling like no pain, and I'd start just bellowing out, like, you know, this is the problem there, rah, rah, rah. So it's just really they start preaching. And some people start listening to it and stuff like that, and I wasn't actually trying I wasn't yelling at anybody because I was angry. I was yelling at I was just yelling out because I was angry at the misconceptions and the stuff like that. So
What's the goal of that?
to raise awareness to what's really going on. So many people try to speak for us or try to interpret what we're saying, or that they don't know at all, because, you know, it's a very hard voice to capture. So I hit the street when I was about 14 years old. I had come from a tough family and just a rough family life. Just wasn't working out. Ended up catching a boot, so I hit the road at a, you know, pretty early age. I was on my own independent living here in BC, right? I was living on my own. I had my own apartment in Surrey when I was like 15 years old. So I didn't have a whole lot of family structure or family. You know, didn't learn a whole bunch of stuff like, you know, financing and home and economics and all that stuff like that, which is really important stuff.
Sounds like you were on your own at 15. So, like, what did you, like, you didn't have a lot of support around you, it sounds like?
No,
Yeah.
no, unfortunately.
So how did you get by at that age?
Friends, really. Yeah, friends become family, mostly, or just you kind of have an adoptive family that, you know, will take you on and stuff like that, like, which is what I had. I had a foster family that ended up helping me out. I could stay with from time to time, you know, when I was having rough times or something like that. So they let me come and stay with them. But unfortunately, they had their own. I mean, they had a hard time accepting me because I was very rebellious. I was obviously very angry, so I probably didn't make it very easy for them, right? But they tried their best, and their work, I hope, was worth it.
And where are you from?
Originally, I grew up in Surrey, which
yeah.
is just across water, but I've been spent the last 10 years in Alberta. I'm a journeyman welder, so.
Journeyman welder.
Yeah, I was you'd see out there, you know, doing trade there for the last 10 years. How we ended up here is we really liked Victoria and we wanted to move. You know, we wanted to change geographically. We came out here, we were traveling, we were doing the van life thing, right? So we ended up getting our vehicle towed, and they impounded it and basically left us on the side of the street. So we were asking them, where can we go to? Like, what the hell are we supposed to do? And they ended up saying, go to Beacon Hill Park. Well, I guess that's where they send the wreckage for that kind of thing. It's been a year and a half now. It's been just that hard to get on our feet generally because of the whole 7 to 7 process and the whole thing like that. The shelters are full mostly in Victoria, and it's just that there's the lifestyle that there is not exactly, I guess, you know, one of peace and quiet, right? It's a little bit chaotic, so I like to stay away from that kind of element. Right? The shelters here are very difficult to be at, to tell you the truth. That you can quite never really get a grasp on if you're comfortable there or not. You know what I mean?
What do you think are, this is a bit of a segue, what do you think are some of the root causes of homelessness in your experience?
Well, I think that there's three things that are like the umbrella basically would be like financial, family, mental health, and addiction would be the 3 contributing factors. I think they're major overall.
Can you break those down a bit? So like, what does financial family mean?
Well, people who just like, they couldn't make their rent or whatever, or they're having, difficulty with their girlfriends or whatever. They're not making work as much as they should be, or something's happening in their family, whatever's going on. They tend to, they miss a couple of rent payments or something like that, and they end up getting kicked out or something like that. They just have to get back on their feet again. They lost a job, maybe through a transition or something like that, and whatever, the hard knocks of life, right? I mean, just that kind of thing. Sometimes people end up having to, crash on their buddy's couch or something like that. But they get on their feet generally. Most of the time people pick themselves up from that kind of thing, right?
Right.
And then you got your addictions, which is obviously just speaks for itself. Just people not being able to obviously have the I guess ability to, whether they have an addiction. So that's first and foremost, right? It takes priority over everything else. And then mental health, where you just can't do it for yourself, right? So.
What are some challenges that you found in like staying housed and maintaining that? Yeah.
Honestly, I think, man, the whole thing of coming off the street, the deprocessing and coming off the street, you're angry a bit, so you want to pay you want to do what you want.
What are you angry about?
Getting ripped off.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just missing that shot in life.
Doesn't feel like you were in control of being homeless at 15. Like that's not something you put on any kid. And
Right.
at a societal level, like what are some things that you think are reinforcing homelessness?
The welfare system, for one, the way the government will only allot $325 a month to rent, and then takes away $325 if you don't have the address. Nobody charges $325 a month, so it's a pretty silly game that they play. So what ends up happening is people only get $325 a month as their core benefit. So that's all they have for the entire month. It's not even providing you enough to buy a toothpaste and a couple sticks of gum. You know what I mean? And it's ridiculous. So that is one thing. Just general attitude. People's attitude of what you do with people when you're fed up with them. Kick them out or just kick them to the curb, or just the general lack of dignity people treat each other with these days. I think that definitely has something to do with it. Just lack of understanding and lack of trying to be a better human being. Definitely has something to do with it. Just that whole McDonald's kind of right now attitude, right?
Live streams we're doing? Yep. Got around 3,000 views. Awesome, man. Yeah. Awesome. This will be the first. Yeah. Whoa! Oh, almost.
Good boy, Tony.
That is the high jump.
Not bad.
What else has to go?
Yeah, man, it's we're in biking camp right here. This is awesome.
How do you see stigma play out in the community at large? Like, how have you experienced that as an individual?
Oh, it's terrible. The looks, the comments, the put downs, the treatment, the discrimination is going into restaurants or going into a place, to an establishment. And also too is you get cast into that stigma role where it's nobody's going to rent to us.
How does it affect you as an individual?
It makes you feel terrible about yourself. It affects your mental health, your view on society, how your role is in society, and what others around you.
What do you think are some of the most common misconceptions people might have about someone like yourself? Yeah.
That we're all villains, or that we're all freeloaders, that we all want a free ride, that we all just want to sit around and abuse the welfare system. That's not true. It's not true at all. I want to work, actually. I have a trade. I have a good trade. I went to school for it. I put myself through school for it. I love doing my trade. I'm very good at it. It's just a matter of being able to get that start, and that 2 weeks at work without being affected by how you slept last night or something like that. It's a very safety sensitive job. So that's it. That that we're all just these terrible, horrible, vile people. It's not like that. We're just normal people who need honestly, affordable housing for some of us. It would be just make all the difference in the world. We're 7 to 7 in place. The 7 and 7 bylaw that we have to, tends down between 7 and 7. You can't function that way. So you can't go and get a job. You can't have anybody watching your tent. So you basically have to be on guard on your tent, vigilantly 24/7, or you don't have a place to live, like at all. Like, I mean, there's no place to shelter and you sleep on the street every night. It would make me from a person that you walk past in the park and maybe sneer at, or just, you know, what is this guy doing in my park? To walking past me in the park saying hello. You know what I mean? That's the difference, honestly. A shower.
Have you had interactions with people that have been through the park at all, like just random people in the public? And
I've had negative and positive. I like to say, actually, lately it's been a lot more positive than negative.
Yeah.
The public is, unfortunately, there's been some. It seems to be a 50-50. It's like you either love us or you hate us, or one side of the fence or the other. So, and that's unfortunate because we're just human beings. You know, we're all just people, and anybody in this situation would become the same person. You know what I mean? So, and it's not evil. It's just different.
I heard you talk about dignity and belonging, and like, what do you feel the role of the wider community is in helping to foster that for people here?
Change your attitude about something. Look at something that you really don't like, and figure out why. And maybe go spend some time trying to figure out what it is. I mean, if you don't like a homeless person because you're scared of them, find out ways you can maybe try and interact with some homeless people, volunteer group, whatever. Even say hello to someone. Just break down the barrier that's we're all terrible, horrible people that we want to just freeload and rob from you. That's just not it's not the case. A lot of people really want to give back to their society, give back to their community. A lot of people that are homeless really love their community. They're really proud of their community. We're all in the process of moving camp to a place where we'll be out of the sensitive areas. We didn't realize we were in the sensitive areas to begin with. They actually told us to move down here because it was more out of the public eye. They want us to be, for some reason, to move into the public eye, which is a really strange, position. They don't want us around because they're still getting the complaints. So they're using other tactics to try and say, well, we're not actually, we're not displacing them. We're just trying to protect the environment now. For the sensitive area, for the indigenous importance, and to the city's importance, and just to the general, enjoyment of the public's, it's obviously important to us. We're not here to wreck anything for anybody, for sure. It's the last thing anybody wants to do.
So, since COVID happened, there's been some unprecedented changes to housing and the way that housing's being done.
Yep.
What has your experience been of this last few months, just living in general?
There was definitely a feeling that, wow, this is almost too good to be true, because when I heard about the hotel rooms, and that actually we were going to get a shot at maybe trying to get a normal life, I thought, wow, this is huge. This is a once in a lifetime. I mean, this is like winning the lottery. But for us, it was almost like a blessing, because it was like the government was finally going to do something about getting us protected and getting us our health. And I mean, if you think about it, it shouldn't have taken a pandemic for people's health to be a concern, right? I mean, that's just a no-brainer. It was boiled down to a lottery, and then it was like, job's done, and it's not done, clearly, right? So it's turned out to be a real roller coaster. Yeah. They had the phone call, basically, pretty much from their superior, was to go out in Topaz, Strathcona, Oppenheimer, and Pandora, and basically find whoever was in their tents at an hour. It was a lottery, and whoever was in their tents in that 1 hour was given housing, was told, well, you got a room, you got a room, you got a room, until they basically ran out. The whole posturing about putting people on lists, we were on 4 different lists, man. I mean, and we were told to come down here from Topaz. These lists were all just a bunch of fairy tales. It was just something to do. They completely forgot about us. The housing initiative was basically just a lottery.
There's an injunction decision coming up on this Thursday.
So then that June 25th decision would be whether or not to let us shelter in place, or whether to go back to 7 to 7. During this kind of coming down time where we actually had a chance to breathe a little bit, I've started to feel a little bit more healthy. Going back to 7 to 7 is tense down at 7 o'clock and then back up at 7. So it's back to a lifestyle of never having stability. within a 24-hour period. That's a huge health risk. 7 to 7 is a health risk in itself. So it'd be terrible to go back to that.
What do you think would make this housing initiative a success?
Having a system in place where people could for sure recover from being on the street. From there's a process that you go through when you become unhoused, where you go through, they fall through the cracks is what they say. Well, there's got to be a process where people can kind of trickle back up through the cracks. So it's a recovery system where things were set in place to focus on that individual needs, like for addictions, safe supply, compatibility with people, and with peer groups and stuff like that. Same thing as with a person in a financial position or a job or a family position, counseling and supports in place in a different house where people were compatible with that person, not just lumping everybody together and expecting that to work. It's a big hodgepodge and goulash of problem. The supports in place for general those areas of life, I guess, that make people homeless in the first place.
If you could send one message to policymakers out there right now, what's one thing that you would want to communicate?
Equality, fairness. The job's not done, and you can't turn it back on us now. You can't just house some people and not others. It's only equality for some and not for everybody. That's just not right.
What does it look like when the job's done?
Everybody home with at least the ability to choose whether they want to be indoors or outdoors, right? I think it's stability is what you really have to, what we're worried about. So even housing, indoors or outdoors, right now I'm fine. I could flourish right now if I could be known that I could leave my tent and it would be secure, and I could probably try to start working and maybe, work towards it to get an apartment or whatever, but stability and equality of life.
And so you have a few initiatives that you spoke to. One was the Twitter feed, Humans of Beacon Hill. You also do a podcast, right?
Yeah, you bet. The Homeless Idea.
The homeless idea.
Yeah, you bet.
Okay, and what's that about?
The Homeless Idea is basically just a show about trying to break stigma, barriers, and trying to understand that people know that there are personalities on this side of the fence. There are people that are just as entertaining, just as bright, just as funny, just as witful, just as talented. To raise awareness that these voices are people that are out there, that they're the people that you might be hating on. It doesn't matter if you're dealing with a homeless person or a housed person. Just generally to try and have a little bit more compassion and friendliness and humanity and just love towards just all people. Right?
How's it going, everybody? My name is Marco. I'm the founder of the Existence Project. We hope you enjoyed the film that you just watched. If you are interested in helping further, we have a few asks for you, the community. First, make sure to like, comment, and share on this video. Voices like Shea's need representation in the public, and this is one way for us to do that. Secondly, if you're interested in having the solutions, some housing solutions that Shea mentioned, be implemented in the wider public sphere, we have a body email template that you can access in the description, as well as a list of emails for all the counselors that are in our core municipalities. Check it out in the description below. Send it off if you feel like supporting. Lastly, if you're a municipality, a community organization, or a group that in general is interested in connecting with people that are experiencing homelessness right now, contact us. We can help. There's a contact email in the description as well. Once again, thank you so much. If you're interested in more content like this, make sure you follow along with our page, and we'll see you next time.